A young girl who drowns in frozen water is saved by a young boy. She looked at his beautiful eyes and his warm tears. She till confused why he is crying. Suddenly she wakes up in a mansion and the maids is shouting Her Royal Highness is awake. She is still confused about what is going on here and how she ended up in this world. After that, maid gives her some medicine to recover her quickly. After talking with several people, she realized that somehow she entered a fictional romance novel called Lady and the Beast. In this novel, main character Blake was the cursed monster crown prince, and the wild Richard both fight to win the heart of the heroine, Dana. She somehow entered the body of Anthea, who was Dana's stepsister. By wedding Crown Prince Blake, Anthea became princess. However, Anthea took one look at Blake's face marked with the hereditary curse of his royal family. She committed suicide on their wedding day. This accident brought Blake into despair and his soul fell into the darkness, unable to win Diana's heart. He died a tragically young death because of his curse. According to the novel, Anthea drowns in the lake and Blake dives in and brings her frozen corpse, and now her soul enters Anthea's body. She realizes that the little boy from yesterday must be Blake. But it had already been 5 days since she got up, but Blake hadn't come to check on her. She asked the maid if she wanted to see the crown prince, but the maid told her that the crown prince received a terrible shock after that accident. Anthea tells her not to worry about anything and leads the way. On his way to meet the crown prince, Anthea thinks that her favorite novel character in Lady and the Beast is Blake, but she can't believe that Diana chose Richard over Blake. But now she ends up in Anthea's body. She will try to rewrite Blake's tragically dark childhood. Besides that, Anthea has nowhere to go. Anthea was the daughter of Count Valentia and his first wife, but Anthea's mother died while giving birth to her. Count quickly remarried soon and his second sister Dana was born. The Count treats Anthea harshly and sends her off to marry the crown prince. Anthea did not kill her because of Blake's monstrous face. She died because her family abandoned her, so she has no choice to leave this place and is willing to help Blake. When Anthea enters his room, Blake tells her not to come any closer to him or you will get scared. Anthea realized that he didn't hate her, but he was just frightened of her. Anthea steps in and flaps a blanket from him, making Blake totally surprised. Blake then covers his face with a pillow, telling her, "What do you think you're doing?" Anthea thinks his face will be like a dark, fearless seduction type, but instead, he is more like a white, fluffy rabbit. She removed Blake's face mask. Blake tells her not to look at his face, but she tells him, "Your face is so beautiful and I have never seen a beautiful face like this." Anthea tells him that, "I am not saying this to comfort you, but it is true. Your huge red eyes, regal nose, and graceful chin make your face like an angelic harmony. And when you meet Diana, you will release from your curse. Once the curse mark is erased from your face, you will become the most handsome man on this continent." Blake tells her he still hates him, but Anthea lies to him and tells him she does not try to suicide, but she just fell into the lake by accident. Since she became Anthea, she will never jump into the lake because of his face. She just came to thank him for saving her life. After hearing this, Blake started to cry, thinking that she tried to kill herself because of him. Anthea hugs him and tells him that she loves him. Blake also tells her he loves him too. Anthea knows that's a big fat lie. In the novel, Blake likes the main character Diana, and when the Emperor learns about this, he requests Count Valentia a marriage proposal. But Count Valentia refuses to send her daughter Dana and sends Anthea instead. The house of Count Valentia possesses the power of light, and Diana can free Blake from his curse because he is the daughter of Count Valentia. Anthea was also a daughter of Count Valentia, but her power was not as strong as Dana. Prince Blake's curse is not just a birthmark, it also causes him excruciating pain. The pain got even more severe in cold weather. Anthea imagined how the agonizing pain would be when he jumped into the freezing lake to save her. But he hardly expresses his pain, he must suffer in silence. Count Valentia's power of light is unleashed through physical contact. The more intimate the touch, the more intense its restorative power is, just like a hot, seductive scene. Anthea proposes they sleep together since they are married couples now, making Blake so embarrassed. It is like he will explode with that embarrassment. Anthea sees him like a cute rabbit, thinking that in 10 years he will grow up like a sexy beast. She did not leave him alone and grabbed his hand, saying to him, "We must sleep together every night since they are married." Blake blushes after she holds his hand. She asked him, "Are you feeling comfortable holding her hand too?" He was full of nervousness. Anthea thinks that since she is a Valentia, her touch may have some effect on him, but it seems to not work. Maybe her power was not enough and she twirled away from him. Blake hugged her on the back, telling her hand is so warm and not to leave him. Anthea tells him that she is not going anywhere. She just wants to pick up the blanket. She just makes a lull of him and he crawls back. Anthea lied to him, telling him that her curse would be broken when he turned 18 years old and live a happy life after that. In the Valencia family, one member always becomes the successor and protector of the power of the light, and one person in the Zarathilian imperial household always inherited the family curse. A long time ago, the first king of the empire, Philip, became the goddess of light lover, and the goddess also gave some power to him as a sign of affection. With this power, Philip founded a mighty empire. Once Philip became emperor, he betrayed the goddess and fell in love with another woman. The enraged goddess of light cast a curse on Philip's descendants that could never be broken, and would be passed down till the end of time. The cursed successor would have black marks on his face, which would slowly and painfully spread to the entire body, and all would die before reaching adulthood. Anthea also knows that on his 18th birthday, when he meets Diana, he will be free from his curse. She makes a promise to him that she will help him defeat the Zarathilian curse and cross his heart and hope to die with him. Blake snatches his hand and tells her not to say that word again. Even if I die, you must live your life. Anthea comforts him and says neither you nor I going to die, so don't worry. He was weepy with tears and started crying. She pats him and tells him everything will be okay, and they both lie on the bed and fall asleep. On the next day, when Anthea opened his eyes, she saw Blake still holding her hand, and he slept all night holding her hand. When he woke up, he started smiling. Anthea asked him the reason for smiling. He says that because you are lying by side to him. After that, Anthea spent couple of time with Blake, and she noticed that Blake did not leave his room unless it was necessary. He just eats and read, and there is a peculiar eating habit of only green meal. They only serve him green salad. She asked him, what kind of food do you like? He tell he like all kinds of food. Anthea sees Blake eating wilted salad and leftover food. Their only reason may be his staff have no respect for the prince. The current Lord Chamberlain is Brown, the eldest son of the Marquis family, who is doing all this. Anthea called maid Melissa and told her to give a message to the Chamberlain to meet in his room. There was something she needed to ask him. After some time, Lord Chamberlain Brown comes to Anthea's room. Anthea tells him that the quality of the Crown Prince's meals is rather atrocious. But Chamberlain Brown says to her, you are new to this, and the budget set to maintain the Crown Prince's household is very low. She knows is a big fat liar, and she releases him from his duties, which made him very furious. Anthea called Lord Edmund and said to take Brown to the dungeon for embezzlement of the imperial coffers and make an investigation of his crime. Brown angrily says he is the heir to Marquis Hamill because you married a cursed prince cannot make you the princess. Brown started screaming to let him go, which made Lord Edmund angry. His stare is enough to scare the Brown. After the Lord Chamberlain was thrown out, it caused confusion in the prince's court. Anthea makes a list of palace staff. In the future, Blake is stripped of his position as a crown prince, and most of his staff betray him and join Richard. To prevent future betrayers, she started firing all of them who were marked on the list, which made the palace empty and only a few people left. Maid Melissa asked her that all the staff were chosen by the emperor himself. Would it be all right to dismiss all? Anthea comforted her and said don't worry, everything is all right. Maid Melissa asked her when you like dinner to be served. That reminds her that she fired all the kitchen staff and she decided to cook today. Anthea told her to follow her and showed her a place full of spices, and two spices that excited her the most are doenjang and gochujang. The maid asked her what these spices, and Anthea said here they are condiments from the Orient. Adding this sauce will enhance the flavor of the food. This make her sad because the kitchen has all these ingredients, but they only serve green salad. She started making some delicious food. After some time the dinner was ready. Blake was so surprised after looking at the food. It was so delicious and awesome that Prince Blake thought he entered a new world. His reaction was so cute. Seeing him happy makes Anthea happy. In the novel, Blake suffers 3 tragedies during his childhood. First, he inherited the family curse. Second, his bride kills herself at their wedding. And last, the death of his father, Emperor Thenston. When Emperor Thenston passed away, Blake's younger brother became the next emperor. That is Rickard, the main hero of the novel, and the bastard son of Duke of Carcel. Blake is exiled to a South Island where he suffers a horrible childhood. Anthea thinks that the Emperor's death still lies ahead in the future, which can be changed. The Emperor has to go to the Valley of Chaos, and maybe he return at any time. After that, Anthea notices that Prince Blake loves Korean food and he enjoys them. She wants to make Korean food authentically, and she needs a cauldron which is not available here. She drew a picture of a traditional Korean cauldron and she will ask the goldsmith to make one. Now she looking for a good spot to place the cauldron, and suddenly a person came and asked her, what are you doing here? Which made her scared, and he sorry her to scared her. Anthea saw his face and knew him instinctively. It was Richard the young boy, who was the hero in The Lady and the Beast. Anthea knew him that Richard was the second son of the Duke Carcel. Since the cursed Blake was destined to die at a young age, the Duke and his son were next to the throne. Richard's mother was a slave, which excluded her from the line of succession. Richard was ambitious in his goals, killing all his rivals and inherit the throne. At the end of the novel, Richard uses Diana to eliminate Blake. Anthea was too afraid of this conclusion, but it wouldn't have happened if Emperor Thurston had not died suddenly. But she would do anything to prevent this from happening. Anthea controlled her emotions and asked Richard, "What brought you here?" Richard tells her that you caused quite an uproar from the day of your marriage and fired all the count staff who were selected by His Majesty. But Anthea knew all these people she fired were the spy of Richard. She tells him, "All this matter is our and we do not need your concern." Out of that, Richard asked her, "Are you still mad at him for rejecting his proposal?" But Anthea thinks about what bullshit he's talking about. Anthea says to him, "Are you in delusion? Who says I like you?" Which surprised Richard. Anthea also tells him this kind of rudeness will not be allowed and you showing disrespect to the crown princess. Richard tries to explain her and tries to hold his hand, but suddenly Prince Blake grabs his hand and stops him. Richard got scared and told him there was a misunderstanding. "I and Lady Valencia are childhood friends." But Blake tells him not to address her Lady Valencia, now she is crown princess. Richard blows down his head and apologizes to him. Blake tells him to get lost. Richard was very angry because of his insult. Blake gently grabs Anthea's hand and tells her not to look at other men. Anthea told him not to worry, after all he was the son of a dog and I did not like him. She rather prefers the cute bunny rabbit guy. Anthea asked him which type of girl do liked. He says, "You are my type," and hugs her, making Anthea happy. After that, Anthea prepared a warm bath for Blake and told him, "Today onward I will assist you in bath." Blake was embarrassed after hearing this, but he tried to avoid this. Anthea grabbed him, saying she was already prepared for the bath. Blake tells her that you will get infected by his curse. There is a rumor about Blake. If anyone who saw his curse or touched it, he or she will get inflicted by his curse and may invite misfortune. That is why the successor of the curse never stepped outside and was exiled to the South Island. All the curse ancestors before Blake were stripped from their titles and banished from the imperial palace as soon the mark appeared. But Blake's father, Emperor Thurston, loves his son and allows him to stay in the castle. Anthea tells him she has seen his face and touched her hand too, but she is fine and does not believe in fake rumors. Blake says her face and hand have small marks, but his body has a huge mark. He was afraid if she saw that mark she would hate him and see him as a monster. Anthea tells him that you are not a monster. Ever since they married she was always happy, which makes Blake happy and they hug each other. Then Athena asked him again, but he was ashamed to show his body. Anthea convinces him and he starts removing his clothes, but he tells her to promise him that she won't get fright after looking at his mark. To avoid his promise, she lies to him, saying that she will never leave him. Blake started removing his clothes and his half body was covered with mark. On the other side, Richard thinks that all the spies that he planted in the crown prince's household have been fired by Princess Anthea. His father, the Duke of Carcel, and his half-brother were furious about their plans foiled because of a 10-year-old girl. But Richard thinks he still has a trump card. That is Crown Princess Anthea. Back then Anthea used to adore Richard and she cannot hide his true feelings. But he does not know that Anthea, who used to love him, has already died and Anthea now is another reincarnated person. He thinks that Anthea is a puppet of him and she will be more effective than 10 other spies. But it all going opposite to his plan. The Anthea he saw yesterday was different. And the Crown Prince has also changed. It was the first time the Crown Prince has used his strength against him. Richard also thinks that Anthea's presence may have an effect on his monster brother. Now Richard also sees Anthea as very attractive and he wants her. Now the video has ended. Let's see what happens in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.